enjoy them over and over and over again. Okay, great. Well, hopefully we get everybody in here that's supposed to be here now. Sorry about the little fluke with the link. I'm Alexa Bigwarfe. If we have not met yet face to face, glad to, or Zoom to Zoom, glad to see you. I'm the host and founder of the Women in Publishing Summit, and we're really happy to have this free webinar series that is provided to us by our sponsors so that we can continue the learning and the engagement and all of the things in between our events. If you're new to our community, please make sure you go over to womeninpublishingsummit.com/events so that you can see all the amazing things that we have coming up. It's really a full line of events. Today we're here with David. Is it Beaumier? Do I pronounce that correctly?
You got it exactly right. No one ever does it on the first try. That's wonderful.
Je parle français, alors. I know it's a lovely French name. Okay, we are so excited to have you guys here from Chanticleer. This is their first year sponsoring, and we hope that they'll continue to be partners for our community because they offer a really fantastic service for people that has to do with awards and reviews and manuscript critiques and all of those things that help us not only improve our books, but get more recognition on our books. And in fact, if you're not on their email list yet, make sure I'll drop the link in here for our Women in Publishing Summit special offer from their sponsor offer. Drop that in the chat in just a second. But make sure you get on their email list because they do great things. Like I just saw an email yesterday about the big sale that they're having right now that ends tomorrow. So I'll drop that link in there too, unless you already had that coming up for everyone to save money on, is it manuscript critiques and awards or what's that deal?
Ellen, I am going to go grab it because it's a great idea. It is on book reviews, and it has a almost never seen discount on children's book reviews.
Oh,
We
yes.
almost never do, but we have for our standard reviews and our children's reviews. I put our newsletter and the original sale page for the Fourth of July sale that goes through the other. Thank you so much,
Amazing.
Alex.
All right. So make sure you take advantage of that. I will grab those links and I'll make sure that they get sent out in the newsletter tomorrow morning as well, because that's a huge deal. Reviews are so important. And again, thank you so much for you guys, for all your support that you've brought to us. And I'm going to stop yapping now and just say welcome and the floor is yours.
Oh, all right, I've got a PowerPoint. Let me track it down, do everything right here, not mess anything up. Here we go. Here is my share screen. Oh, I will send a request to ask for sharing. I'm a big PowerPoint person. About the deal, I'm not ready to submit. Diana, you can sign up right now and just not submit anything. That's totally okay. We don't mind. Um, Diana was
Okay,
asking
there
how
you
can I get the
go.
discount if I'm not ready quite yet. You can sign up for our reviews anytime, and we will do that, and we will honor it later. I think the most extreme example I've ever seen of that was someone signed up for a manuscript overview in 2019, back when they were $300, and redeemed it 5 years later. And we honored the full thing. So I'm David Bomia with Chanticleer Book Reviews. I'm here to talk to you about editorial book reviews and book awards. First, a little bit about me. I've been a freelance editor since 2013. I've been in publishing industry for 10 years now. Um, and I've been the communications and marketing manager for Chanticleer for the last 5 years. I have both my BA and my master's from Western, and I received the Village Books Literary Citizenship Award, which is probably the coolest thing that's happened to me to date. Um, Chanticleer itself has five main services. Like Alexa said, we have the editorial book reviews, the book award program, our editorial services or editing services. We have our own private social media channel called The Roost, which we love, and we have our own annual Chanticleer Authors Conference. We've done a lot of work back and forth with Alexa, having her present for us. Women in Publishing is a great, wonderful place. I feel so lucky and privileged to be here. Um, as we get going, I'm going to be using a lot of Chanticleer stuff as sort of the case study for it, but I don't want this necessarily, I've got a lot of Chanticleer branded stuff, of course. My goal is not to be like, you have to buy from Chanticleer. That's the only way to make this work and be successful. I'm going to talk about our services in addition to the benefits of editorial book reviews and a book award program. Though you can see our 5-star sticker and the grand prize, your name, your book here badge. Um, to start off with, for editorial book reviews, an editorial book reviews is something that you might find from Book Life, from Kirkus Reviews, from Forward Reviews, Feathered Quill, US Review of Books Today, and of course Chanticleer. There are a lot of watchdog services you can use, like Writer Beware or Ally, which is the Alliance of Independent Authors. There's one I enjoy that's a Seattle-based one called Absolute Right. That's WRITE. And it's a nice forum. I check in a lot of things through there, but beyond seeing, is this a good deal? Like, is it scammy? Is it legit? The main question that I often ask is the editorial review worth my time? And for me, what I look for personally is at least 300 words, 3 blurbs, and a solid analysis of the book, not just summary. I also like to look and see what are the other books that have been reviewed by this website. I don't want it to just be, books that I don't think I would read or I don't think my readers would be interested in, because if I feel like there's not great quality on the site, maybe it's not the best fit for my book. Um, a lot of times people say, do reviews work? Um, One thing that I think is really important is that reviews are a tool. They're like a hammer. If you leave the hammer on your desk in the garage, it's not going to get any work done for you. Um, Probably the best example I have from this comes from our book awards. I had someone who won the middle grade, got first place category in the middle grade awards 2 years in a row. And he emailed me and said, when can I expect an agent to contact me? And for some of us, that might seem like a really silly question, but there's nothing wrong with having questions like this. But the thing is these aren't things that go out and run to bookstores and sell your books for you. They're things that you take to bookstores and use to sell your books, or you take them to an agent or to a small press and say, hey, I've invested in my book. I've gotten a review. I've gotten a book award. It's part of my query package now, or my sell sheet. Let's see. I talked about the 3 blurbs that you want. Or, for me, I like to have at least 3 blurbs. Maybe there's more. Where do they go? You want to put them on your Author Central on Amazon, on Goodreads, on your website, and on your social media and newsletter. Now, I talked about having, I think having at least 3 blurbs, maybe they need to be from different places. If you're getting, a few peer review blurbs from other authors, Stephen King wants to blurb your book. Um, and then some from editorial reviews. You always want to excerpt that point because no one wants to read an entire review while they're looking at your Amazon page. They just want to know what's the sharp bit of it. And then you want to use different ones on your Author Central, on your Goodreads, on your website. And if you can have at least 3 different ones, you can rotate those through, and it shows up like it's new. People aren't looking for, did Chanticleer review this book? Did Kirkus review this book? For the most part, most readers aren't aware of editorial review companies. All of us are very aware of, or many of us are very aware of editorial companies. But readers, when I tell people what I do for work, I say it's sort of similar to Kirkus. They don't know who Kirkus is, which is a little odd for me. Um, so when you have these up, I recommend that you rotate these through. So you'll have one on Amazon Author Central, one on Goodreads, one on your website. After once a quarter or so, you'll switch out which one's where. The reason that you do this, you can also do this on your social media and newsletter. I recommend, if you're doing ads specifically, swapping them out once a month so it seems fresh and it looks good. The reason that you're doing this is not just for the reader's eye, though that helps a lot. You're doing it a lot for the algorithm. All of these websites, like Amazon and any social media page, they really thrive on attention. And if you put everything and then just leave it and don't touch it, they see that you aren't paying attention to it and it slowly gets downgraded. If there are new updates, people are very excited about new updates. They really want to see that and they really want to dive in deep to it. Um, a few other places that I don't have listed here but are good to think about are shelf talkers, which is those physical, they're almost like wine tasting labels that you put up at bookstores that say, this is, read this book. You can see them on a lot of staff pick shelves. um, Online, you might have access to very specific groups. I know social media can be a little generic. But might run a Patreon, you might run a Discord. Instead of Goodreads, you might prefer Storygraph. You might not like Amazon. I certainly don't love Amazon, even though they're, entrenched. Um, when you want to evaluate a review, you want to find a company, vet the company, confirm it's a good fit, and then send them the book. Um, I talked a little bit about this in terms of what I'm looking for in it. And again, there are places out there to help you evaluate. I know Hannah with Book Award Pro is giving a talk soon. She does a lot of great work in just sort of laying out who is going to at least do what they say, which is really, really lovely. Here, I want to do a little bit of an assessment. Before I jump into that, here we go. We've got this is what an editorial should be. It should be unbiased and objective, a professional avenue for you to be fairly assessed and get people talking about your book. At Chanticleer, we do a whole lot under the hood with SEO technology. We work really hard to maximize the search engine optimization for every review so that when someone does a Google search for your book and your name, that pops up near the top. We want them to know that it's really going really well. We also work really hard to make sure that all reviews are posted to our social media with like a good little blurb tagline. They're sent out in our newsletter. And we send physical mini marketing kits, which include those shelf talkers. Um, Another great thing to know about our reviews is they are read by humans and written by humans. That is a new thing I've had to start saying, which is always very strange. But we don't use AI to review the books. Once the review comes to us from the reviewer, it goes to our reviews coordinator, who goes through and she edits it, and then she sends it to our editorial assistant, and he edits it, and then she goes back to her and she takes another look. Sometimes Kiffer and I will look it over and handle it as well. And then we send it to the author to go through because no one knows your book better than you. Let's talk a little bit about structure. We're going to do a comparison between Kirkus and Chanticleer because, they're the big kids on the block. Kirkus, for those of you who don't know, is the household name when it comes to reviews. If you have a Kirkus review, it really shines. This is a book that we had reviewed, and I was like, I should check to see if Kirkus did a review, and maybe I can use that for this presentation. I can. You don't have to worry about reading all of this. What I want to say is to talk about the color coding. For me, if it's unhighlighted, it's not really summary or a blurb. It's sort of some of it can be analysis. A lot of it is analysis and sort of the review part where they say this is what's going on. You can see here for Kirkus that they have one big chunk of summary and one blurb, and this is the entire Kirkus review. It fits all on this one page. Maybe not the easiest read in the world, but they don't have any sort of breaking up. They don't have any sections. It just is there. Um, Again, it's a household name. Lots of people get a Kirkus review, and it's gonna do well by you, and you can sell a lot with it, or you can use it for sales. This is the Chanticleer book review. This is page, I think, one of three because I had to do a bunch. But again, I don't have to, I'm not going to dive into this. I just want you to visibly see the way we structure it. We give a brief summary to introduce, we hit with a blurb, we hit with another blurb. The reason those blurbs are often one line is because we're using headings within the review to help maximize SEO. We jump down, we have that summary again because it's the beginning of the review. What am I reading? Next page, we hit a blurb, and then the next two pages are about what the high fantasy world feels like. Why is it a finely tuned watch? We give that information, we go to the next one, another blurb. Now that we reach the end of the review, we see that we jump much more into reviewing the book analysis, but even before it was built into it. This is the sort of quality that I often recommend people look for when looking for a review is someone who's actually going to take the time and understand your book and not someone who's going to just totally miss the mark. Kirkus does do a pretty decent job a lot of the time. Again, I don't think anyone shouldn't get a Kirkus review. I think they're lovely. I just like to point out that's sort of the difference between a company that knows that they have a thing going that is going to be permanent versus someone like us. Uh, oh, sorry, I often copy slides over from like I'll rework old presentations. This is for a different presentation more or less, but it is related to the Kirkus stuff. Yeah. Um, the main point that I make with this is that I asked one of my coworkers the other day, I said, how much bigger of a following do you think Kirkus has? Like, do we have like 20% of their followers on Facebook, 50% of their followers, what is the number? And she gets about 20% because Kirkus has been around for a long, long time and Chanticleer's been around for 14 years. And the answer is we have 5% of their following. But when you look at the actual impact, we are always equal to or double their interactions on Facebook because we actively tag authors, we actively put in hashtags, we interact with people when they comment and share. We always make sure that there's communication there. And that sort of ties into what I was saying at the end, which is that, we are hungry for growth. Anyway, next. Book awards. On to book award programs. I believe there is in the sponsorship page that Alexa's going to send out, there is a thing about a discount on book awards for conference attendees. If you email me, I'll send you the discount link. I'm not gonna gatekeep that. Book awards are a great marketing tool. I do hear from authors that they work. I hear at conferences, people will come up to me and they say, "Hey, every time you put out a list and you do that newsletter boost and you put all that effort into making it shine, I get a little sales bump because people see it." I hear from authors who don't who submit to other awards that maybe don't do quite as much, that they still see a boost in sales when they use it in ads. And so again, I'm not saying Chanticleer is the be all end all. Book award programs tend to be very good for you. Um, I cannot enter the Chanticleer Book Awards. There's a conflict of interest. And so I look really carefully at what other programs do. I like to see regular promotion on their website and social media, their newsletter. I like to see a positive social media interaction. If I look at their page and there are no likes and there are no tags and there's just nothing there, I don't love it. And I love to see little treats. Digital badges I think are great. I like to see that there's real competition. I like to see that the awards that are there are have a lot of things going in around, like the long list looks competitive, and then the winners list doesn't look like books that I don't want to read. I like to make sure that it looks like a good sell for my book. For promoting the award, you want to promote it at every single stage. When you submit, when you receive an update, when you get a badge, when you get judging notes. Um, one one key point for me is that the every time you receive an update, that includes when you fall off the list. You made it to the short list and you didn't make the semifinalist list. You say, "Hey, congratulations to everyone who made the semifinalist list. It was an honor to be on the short list." People love positivity. They love making that connection with someone. And it's okay to like being the short list is advancing far enough to say, "I did something and I won." Um, and that counts to people. For judging nuts in the badge, I would say always feel free to ask what a company is willing to do for you. Just say, "Hey, I'm so happy I got shortlisted. I made the semifinalist. I got first place," whatever it is for you. And say, "I'm really curious about what if there's anything I'm missing that I should be doing to work with you." Usually the company will have a great idea of how they can best support you. And if you do a little bit to meet them, they'll do a lot to meet you. At Chanticleer, we do free judging notes on request. We do certificates on request. The reason we do those on request rather than just automatically is because there would be too many for us to do, and we are a small but mighty staff. But yeah, so it's okay. Let's see. Gotta check my notes. Can't forget to look at my notes. One thing is that like with reviews, there are some book award programs that are maybe don't always have the best interests of the author at heart, or maybe you submit and you find out this is not a good fit for me in the end. And that's 100% okay when that sort of thing happens. You just move on. You go on to the next thing. It can be really hard to do. It can be like, I'm going to get them. You can send a note to Writer Beware and say, "Hey, I had this really bad experience. I thought you should know," and send them the documentation. They'll take care of it for you. Where should you share information about the awards? Oh my gosh, it's the same as the reviews. Look at that. I'm not going to rehash all of these, but again, rotate it around, keep it fresh. If you have three or four different awards, you can split them up between these, and it looks new. You're adding it up. Um, one more thing about I'm thinking about this, one of our authors who did submit to somewhere he ended up not liking very much, and he got first place, and he's like, "I think this is worth less than my shortlist from Chanticleer." And I was like, however you want to play it is fine with me. He sent me a list of awards that he was interested in recently, and one of them was only Big Four publisher books. And so that's another thing that I sort of keep in mind. I'm through a small press. I don't want to be competing with Big Four indie books. Maybe that says something about my own my internalness, but I think that it's worth looking and making sure that you're in the right place, both in terms of it's not too easy and also it's not, people are going to discount you because you're not from Penguin Random House, which I think is not good. I think it should be better. Um, I'm going to try to talk a little bit more deeply about the Chanticleer International Book Awards. Oh, I put that apostrophe in the wrong place. Oh well, don't tell my boss. I'll fix it for later. Uh, but people often say, "How international are you?" We are located in Bellingham, Washington, which is in the tippy top left of the lower 48 of the United States, and so they usually assume we mean Vancouver, BC. We have had people come in from India, the UK, Australia, South Africa, Portugal, Turkey every year since I've started. Not every one of those companies. Turkey was a one-time thing, but from Portugal for sure, South Africa, Australia every year. I can't believe making that long, long, long flight. But it goes really well. We do really have people from all over the world come up to little old Bellingham, just north of Seattle, and they're really excited about it. Uh, Here, I'm going to dive in a little bit. I get very excited about the contest. I think they're one of the best things. It's $99 to enter a contest, and at each of these points, you have the initial entries with the slush pile survivors, as my boss says. I usually say the first reader pile. It's anyway. When you reach the long list, the short list, the semifinalist, finalist, first place category winners, and then one of the grand prize winners. There's a grand prize winner for each division. Each of those goes out in its own email. It has its own promotion. Again, we do all that same search engine optimization work where we're looking at everything from title optimization all the way down to sentence length optimization. We really want to make sure these are landing and happy for crawlers to grab and pull onto. Uh, our goal with all of this, you can see here, our goal with all this is that we want to increase your long tail digital marketing and really strengthen your digital footprint online. You can see that one of our sticker examples on the top left there is the shortlisted by Chanticleer Book Awards. The other ones are sort of oval foil stickers. They turn gold when you hit the first place winners. And so we've got those for first place, for grand prize. We send out these badges to all the people who reach these points. We do have physical stickers that we send out. Um, we and we send out the judging notes and all that good stuff. Feel like it's everything. I realize here that I've made the classic mistake that I always mistake when presenting, which is to speak too fast, which is okay. Um, And so the big things that people often see are the the blue ribbons, the division badges, and $1,000 for the overall grand prize winner. People love the banquet as well. We always host the awards banquet at our authors conference. That's where people come from all over the world to visit us. It's really a special, wonderful event. We try to have it right on the bay. Finalists, first place, and grand prize winners all get either discounts on our reviews, to free reviews, to author interviews. All the grand prize winners are promoted on our website for up to 5 years, in addition to posts the entire year after they win. We work really, really hard to show up for our people. And I think that everyone else should do. We have, like I said, we have a very small staff. We have about 30 contractors, and we have, I think it's 4 or 5 hourly workers. Some of them are contracted, which is why I'm like, I know how to count, I promise. I just can't remember who's hourly and who's on retainer. Um, Again, I really want to emphasize that these are incredible tools that are just waiting to be used. And they are tools. They have to be used. You don't type your book by looking at the keyboard. You type your book by typing on the keyboard. And so it's really great to remember that, a company's going to be out there and they're really going to want to promote and support you. But they can only do so much without you using your research, your resources, and leveraging your own audience. That is sort of the essential bit of things. Oh, I spoke so fast, but we're going to have a lot of time for Q&A. And since I spoke so fast, I imagine there's going to be a lot. No questions too small. I'm happy to hear about it. Here's our information. You can send out just a general inquiry to our administrative assistant, Anya. She's wonderful. You can reach me at dbaumier@chantyreviews.com. There's the website, and there's a little QR code for you to scan um, with that information there. I will leave that up, and I'm gonna pop back into the main area here. All right, I'm gonna pull up the Q&A. Will this
It
be on
looks like
replay,
we
actually?
don't
Wow.
have
Okay,
any
I spoke really
questions.
fast.
So
I
if you
believe it will be on replay.
yes, it's going to be replayed on the YouTube channel and we'll send it out in tomorrow's newsletter as well. Does anybody else have questions? Okay, drop them in the Q&A box so we can see all of your questions in there because wow, you I thought I spoke quickly, but you win the
Ah,
prize on that one.
I didn't even have coffee yet today. I really wanted to. My apologies.
No,
I
it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so I see a
Oh,
message
Alina
from
Rubin. It's so good. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat to see if there's anyone. Alina, it's so good to see you. Your book was such a treat. I do try to read them, especially when reach grand prize.
oh, how cool.
Uh, yeah.
Yes, Joanne, you can use the coupon code. I mean, you can use the review later, he said earlier. But the other thing is that we have a coupon discount code for $75 all
I
time.
think it's the same. Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah.
doesn't have the children's book one on there. So if you are a children's book author, go ahead and grab it while at the discount today, and you can use it whenever.
Laura, I see in the chat you put a question saying you already paid for 4 editorial reviews. Thank you so much. So at this point, is it better to enter the award? I think both of them are great. If you're saying you already have 4 editorial reviews for one book, so do you get another editorial review with Chanticleer? I think if you are happy with the blurbs and you have a minimum of 3 to 4 blurbs from those reviews, I think doing the awards is a great way to go because you're diversifying what you have. Um, of course, I want to say sign up for a review. They're the best. I think the reviews are great and we do a lot of work with them. But
So I have a super technical question for you. Well, maybe not
yeah, hit
super
me.
technical, but do you know, is this considered, are the Chanticleer editorial reviews considered official, are they considered official trade reviews? Like, do they feed in through Onyx and all the other places that people see them, or how are they, how do they get out into the world, I should say?
That's a great, yeah. I primarily through our own networking
Okay,
platforms, and so through our website, through our newsletter, through social media, we do. We share them pretty regularly. A lot of our reviewers are very good at tracking the reviews that they've done, and they will share them out. The authors do a wonderful job, and then we just use the SEO as our primary way forward with those. That's a great question.
gotcha.
Prima, I see your question of do you review nonfiction books? Yes, absolutely we do. We have a great number of contractors who review. I can talk slowly, I promise, Alexa, who review the nonfiction books. We also have 7 nonfiction book awards that you can enter. Denise, I see when is the soonest to submit a book while waiting for publication? I would recommend the um, after the line editing process is done. We often tell our contractors it's okay if there's a few typos here and there, especially if the book is a manuscript. Um, but we don't want to do it before you're done with all the structural and nitty-gritty parts. And so I'd say after line editing is a good time. Beth R, I see how much are reviews. Thank you, Alexa, for putting in the discount code. The reviews are 495 for a standard review and 350, I believe, for a children's book review typically. And so it's 75 off with the um the July discount. And I think is it 25? I'm gonna open up the link. I'm gonna hit stop sharing. We're gonna see what's on that screen then.
And I'm dropping
Um
the link to.
and it's 25 off of a children's bookstore. Thank you for posting it. Oh, 325. Thank you, Tammy. Gosh, I'm raising my prices. My apologies.
I
Um,
should know that. I just bought one, but I was too busy looking up links.
I'm gonna make sure that our reviews coordinator is on vacation. I will make sure that that gets handled. Mary Ann Whitebrock, I see that you've had your hand raised for a while. Um,
Oh, I think sometimes people accidentally raise their hand,
they just hit it.
but yeah, if you have a question, Marianne, just drop it in the chat or in the
And
Q&A
you'll Q and
box.
A.
So, maybe just for one more question while people are thinking about this, um,
Please.
it was the one about the link. One worked, one did not work. Okay.
Oh,
I think which can you tell us which link did not work? It might have been the one for the newsletter,
oh, I'm sorry if that's
which
the
which
case.
isn't that big of a deal because when you go over to their website, you can see all the ways to
It'll
get on
pop.
their newsletter.
Yeah, it'll pop up right away.
So hopefully that works now. This one, okay, I just dropped the link again to the page. Okay. I had a question and then it just got distracted there. So you talk fast,
I,
I get easily distracted. We're quite the pair.
we're gonna rock it. I saw Prima had a question about line editing services. We have a full suite of editorial services, and my boss, as I mentioned, Kiffer, the wonderful Kiffer Brown, is in the process of moving. We did a deep dive assessment into all of our editorial services about 2 months ago, and I let her know that we were not charging quite enough, and she has not fixed it. And so now is a great time to get in for editing services. It's like you get a discount, but really it's just that we're not charging quite enough. Our manuscript overviews, I'll drop the link down there, is probably the most popular service that we have when it comes to editing. It's the big bird's eye view of your book.
Yeah.
It says, does this have a beat and can you dance to it? We have a lot of people who go through that process and they really love it. They write so much faster. A lot of big time authors and presses will and publishers um, use manuscript overviews to burn through and really quickly write new books because they get this great structural assessment of their book and they can move forward much more quickly and save a little money going forward because they don't have to do as many line edits later on.
Yeah,
Laura, I
what
see
I
how.
love about manuscript critiques is that especially for somebody who is newer and writing a first or second or third book, like it really is good to get that feedback from an expert on whether or not you've hit all the things that your book needs to be hitting. And it can be such enormously powerful feedback for you to go ahead and do that ahead of time so that when you do publish your book, and especially if you can't afford a full developmental edit, which was can be significantly more than $495, then this gives you the nuts and bolts of a developmental edit. And for me, like for my first two novels, I had full developmental edits, but I think this time, because I kind of know the groove of the genre and I've done it a few times, I think I'm just going to have a manuscript critique and make sure I've hit all the bells and whistles. And if the manuscript critique comes back and says, this is bad, then I'll go back and get my developmental edit again.
Mhm. That's a great point. One of the number one things we notice in the awards is people start to fall off early, and the people who fall off early don't have a strong developmental core to their story. You know, they're missing a compelling midpoint. The characters either don't develop, or you have one set of characters who develop for the first third of the novel, a second set of characters who come in and join the protagonist, and the protagonist has no action, has no agency throughout and it can be really difficult in terms of storytelling because it's missing the conflict, the number one thing that drives the story forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura wants to know how you vet your reviewers, if they are contractors, and are you sure they're not using AI?
Well, for the AI, it's going to be impossible to tell in the future. I'm fairly confident just from having seen a lot of AI work and seeing good AI work. There are a few things that you can check for that, and we do look at those. For vetting them, we get a resume from them, and so we go through. Ideally, they have a website. A lot of times, they are already writing reviews on their own website, and they're interested in turning it into something more professional. We meet a lot of them at conferences. We go to AWP whenever it's over here on the West Coast. And there's almost no reason for us to be at AWP except to meet new contractors who are oftentimes people who are deep in the book industry, extraordinary masters and PhD students who are looking to have some sort of connection to the publishing world. We meet retired librarians. Usually, we'll test out a reviewer with our grand prize award winners because we already know that we like those, that we feel good about them, and they're not as on tight of a deadline because our standard reviews we try to turn around in 6 weeks. And so if the first few that we work on with them don't work out, we are always happy to redo a review. Maybe happy is the wrong word. We are always going to redo a review if that's what's necessary. Um, and then, yeah, like I said, you can't ever be sure that they're not using AI, but I know that when we edit it, we're not, Dina and Scott do not use AI to go through their editing process, and it's not there, I don't think.
Rhonda has a
Um,
fantastic question. What's the difference between a manuscript review or generally manuscript critique and an
mhm.
editorial book review?
Yeah, so the manuscript critique, we call it a manuscript overview. I've seen manuscript evaluation, lots of things. That is specifically for editing your book. And so that focus is on plot, it's on developmental structure. We I think promise, I've got it right here. Ah, okay. It says 2,500 words. I don't usually see one under 5,000 words from our editors. They can get quite long because it's a very thorough explanation of everything that's going on. And it's meant for you to take it and then edit it. Usually, the manuscript critique is something that you would submit. I would say when you feel like you've taken the book as far as you can by yourself, it's when you really are like, I'm ready for a professional to get some eyes on this, but you're not looking for line level work, you're not looking for proofreading work. All that happens later. You want to get your manuscript overview done early on. The editorial book review, on the other hand, is a marketing tool. Someone asked, when do you submit it earlier? That can be sent after the line edit. Typically, one thing that I will often tell people is that it's good to have a pub date in mind if you're doing for an editorial book review, unless you're using it for a query package. If it's part of a query package, then you can get it done before it's published or even has a pub date because you're trying to sell other people on it and show that someone has already vetted it for you. But for the, I would say 90% of our customers are using it in terms of either pre-release build up for a book or to try to, capture some marketing that they maybe didn't do early on. Um, and so that is the editorial book review is specifically for marketing your book, and the manuscript overview is specifically for critiquing and editing your book.
Awesome.
So
All
pretty
these wonderful
traditional.
tools to help us not only improve our books, um, but be able to market them after the fact. And I see you guys have we talk a lot about kid lit in some of our groups and how difficult it is to promote middle grade fiction. And I see that of the award categories you still have up and open, there's actually one for kid lit. So that's a great
Mhm.
opportunity for you to get some different exposure on it. And also,
Yeah,
when you read through what you get with the editorial review, I mean, I know you went over this, but just to reiterate, because you can hear something, but then when you read, for me, when I read it again, it's a very comprehensive, it's not like for 400 bucks, we just provide you a review. It's all kinds of
yeah,
stuff in that package.
yeah.
So,
It drives me nuts sometimes to see things that are put up there. I see we've got some Q&A.
oh,
Tammy, I think we've talked in one of the third Thursday or third Tuesdays. When submitting for a Chanticleer children's book review, what's the recommendation to put in the comments to assist the process? If there's something very specific about the genre, sometimes we'll have something that's a Christian children's book, or hey, this is a bedtime story. Anything that can give us a little more knowledge about the specific genre and who it's being aimed at. We work really hard to pair it with the correct reader. Um, not to Kirkus is the big one, so I often will check with them. But I remember there was a while where I could not find a good Kirkus review, and so I was like, I'll look up the review of The Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. That's like a picture perfect romantasy book, and they just tore it into shreds, which broke my
wow.
little heart because I love The Fourth Wing.
I
But
do
it
too.
was it was obvious that they had someone who loves high fantasy, like a big, like Brandon Sanderson, Wheel of Time. And I'm not a Sanderson fan, but I read Wheel of Time and I liked it. Um, but that person was like, "Where's the high fantasy?" I was like, "Not that kind of book, buddy." They're like, they keep having relationships. I'm like, "Oh no," which Robert Jordan does not write very well. Uh, but yeah, so I was like, oh, okay. And so we try to avoid that and make sure that's what sort of what the comments are allowed for. You can also let us know where it is in the process. You can let us know when the pub date is if you want us to do closer to that. Dina communicates really well with people to make sure that we're on the same page.
And you can
Let's
submit
see.
them for after a book is published too, right? Like that
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
have to,
all the
okay, good.
time.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I would say it's 50-50. Some people get it in before the debut. I just put I've got a book coming out in September and I just put it in for that. And so I'm 2 months ahead, which is feels a little late.
Yeah, I know. We try to encourage our folks to put them in 3 to 6 months in advance of publication, if possible. But if you're already published and you need a bump in your marketing or some reviews, some on editorial reviews, it's today's a great day.
Well, another thing is that let's say you have a book coming out, but you have a robust mid list and backlist. We have bulk discounts available on the website, and you can sign up for. We've had people who sign up for 5 reviews, and we usually say, "Do you want this with the same reviewer?" A lot of times they say yes, and they get a book review every 6 weeks that they can just use to promote themselves for it feels like the entire year. 5 times 6 is 30. Yeah, for more than half the year. It's very impressive.
That's so smart.
Um,
One of the biggest questions we get on marketing is how do I get in front of my reader? And I'm here to tell you that this is how you get in front of your readers is by things that are created like this and then sent out to readers. I'm assuming your list has a lot of people who are interested in receiving information about the types of books and awards too, not just the authors and publishers.
was that a question? I'm so
Kind of,
sorry.
kind of.
What's it?
Yeah, in your marketing, it's not just you're not just emailing authors and publishers. I'm sure you when you put these out,
Oh,
you have lists of people who
so
are
many readers.
yeah, yeah. So was
Yeah.
that a question? Nope.
Yeah, I was like, sorry, I was looking at Diana's question and I saw that Tammy caught it with saying I had misread Diana's question. I was gonna say, oh, I was like, this is where you purchase the picture book review, but she was looking for where to get the thing, and so
I'll just say really quickly to Jan, the third, what he was referencing is the third Tuesday, the networking calls that we have for the community members.
yes. The third Tuesday of it, I will do a plug for that. I try to remember to go every month. I do forget frequently. I have a blast at those. It is such a treat. It is something that I would love for Chanticleer to emulate. I've talked to Kiffer about it. Be like, for our membership program, we got to do something similar. Like Alexa is 10 steps ahead of us, and we can learn so much from her. And so I really, really would recommend going to those third Tuesday groups. You just get to meet the most lovely people. You get to grow your network. Almost every time people want to know about your book, they want to know about your website. They really are excited to communicate and connect with you. It's a treat. And if you have questions, someone has an answer. It's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a manuscript reward and published award for middle grade? Is it preferable to submit a published or a manuscript? I have both for the book awards.
For the boards, either is fine. Since you said middle grade, I'm gonna go grab old middle grade awards. Copy link, and I'm just gonna drop it there. That's for our Gertrude Warner middle grade fiction writing contest. We accept manuscripts and published books. We get manuscripts win the grand prize every year. I think one time it's won the overall grand prize, but maybe more. I've only been here for 5 years, but for division grand prizes, every single year there's a manuscript that wins the division grand prize. Um, a lot of times those people will go on and they will get published shortly thereafter. They really know how to leverage that and move forward. It's quite impressive. I love seeing them do it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if you have further questions, how can people reach out to you? Or
They
do
can
you
reach out to
want them
me.
to go someplace else if they have
No, no, no,
questions?
no. They can reach out to here. I'm going to put the two. Um, there we go. So there's my email, and then there's the general email if you're like David's not responding fast enough, or you can email both of us. We don't mind.
And
Emma,
everyone,
what is the
just
number?
so you know that you'll get an email tomorrow with the replay and with all the links and with all the emails and all that stuff. So don't panic if you're on the phone or you weren't able to jot these down. I got you.
Yeah. And then I also see from you asked about what is the number of reviews we get, the number that you pay for. If you're going to be buying more than five at once, like you're thinking I want to buy eight, reach out and let me know. We do offer publisher discounts for large orders. And so I'm happy to help save some money. But you can use that 4th of July discount in combination with the bulk discount that's built into the website. We don't have a way to stop that, and we wouldn't if we could.
That's what I did. Yay.
Mm. Smart. Gosh, I'm like, I didn't even, I haven't seen these come through yet. Did you buy these like today?
I just bought them at the beginning of the webinar. So
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Andy will not have even pushed those through quite yet because he's a slowpoke. That is awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Alexa. Any
yeah,
discount for
I'm
the
excited
awards?
for it.
On the women in publishing discount, there is a, you know what? I'm gonna track it down. I'm just gonna drop it right here. Is the chat recorded, Alexa?
It is, and I'm also grabbing all these links and putting them in the notes. So,
Okay, if the chat is recorded, I'm not going to put it in there because it's by email only, which I
oh,
don't love. But
okay.
I talked to my boss about it. She's like, we just can't let it get out there. Like,
Oh,
okay,
okay. Well,
Katrina,
email. Okay, so email if you really are interested in a discount on the rewards, then email
email me. I'll send it to you.
beaumier@chantyreviews.com, and that will also be the third Tuesday calls gets emailed out to people who have attended the conference. So if you're not a conference attendee, I'm thinking about opening it up to our entire community. I think that gives a larger breadth of people to network with. So maybe we'll do that. So I'll send it out to everybody. It will be to next Tuesday at 1 p.m. and we'll just
Yeah,
yeah, see how many people come into the room. I guess I should check how
yeah,
many people we can have. Okay,
yeah.
everybody. Was there a discount on awards? Yes. You have to email David for that.
There's the link with all the information for the Women in Publishing Summit discounts. We are delighted to do it.
Awesome. Again,
All right,
all of this stuff will
Alexa,
be in the email that goes out tomorrow, so don't worry if you miss something.
Alexa, thank you so much for being such a wonderful host and also for helping me with questions as I burned through that presentation. My goodness. I'm gonna have to this weekend just speak very slowly to everyone who I talk to in preparation for the
Relax.
next one. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
summertime. Relax.
yeah.
All right. Well, this has
Well,
been great. Thank you again to Chanticleer for being such a wonderful sponsor. And I'm looking forward to all the things we have coming ahead in the next year, too.
me too, very much so. Take care, everyone.
All right. Oh, and if you love David and learning from him, make sure you sign up for the 2-day business boot camp, which you can get to at womeninpublishingsummit.com/events. He'll be teaching using the Gantt structure to project manage your publishing projects as an author or publisher, publishing pro, all those types of things. So we're very excited about having you back to teach us, hopefully at a little slightly slower pace.
It
We'll see
it
what
only gets
happens.
faster.
It only gets faster. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.